So this video comes in response to a request from a good friend of mine, Leanne. So I hope you're watching, Leanne. It's 4 weeks into lockdown and you're probably starting to notice weeds appearing in your paving and you're wondering what you can do about it. And if you're like me, you don't really want to use chemicals, or maybe you just don't have any chemicals around. I watched the first episode of a series called Home this week, and it showcases a whole lot of very unique houses and very unique builders. And what was this in this first episode, they looked at a house. It was a log cabin in Sweden built inside a greenhouse. So they had grapevines growing everywhere, they had tomatoes on the roof. It was quite incredible. But they interviewed the eldest daughter and asked her how living in this house had affected her. And she said an interesting thing. She said that she had started to rethink the stuff that she introduced into the system. So when she washed her face, washed the makeup off her face at night, it would be in the system, and they would then be eating whatever chemicals she was releasing into the system. So she started to rethink, and she started to use more natural products as a result. And I was thinking, wouldn't it be amazing if we started thinking like that we are, in a way, in a closed system. If we introduce chemicals, we're introducing them into this closed system. And with everything, there's always consequences. Anyway, enough talking. Let's look at some safe ways to get rid of weeds in our paving at home. Let's make some lockdown weed killer. So first up, the simplest method is just plain old boiling water. This is fine if you've only got 1 or 2 weeds to deal with, but it could be a pain if you're dealing with a lot of weeds. You've got to water it in very slowly and very carefully. You want that hot water to penetrate right down into the roots. You also don't want to spill this on you. Another simple weed killer would be a mixture of salt and water. You would need around about 1 part salt to 3 parts water, and you would mix that up thoroughly, make sure it's properly dissolved, and you would spray that over the leaves of the plants that you're trying to kill. The salt will then stick to the leaves and dry the leaves out. What you can also do is you can add a little bit of soap into the mixture, and it'll help the salt stick to the leaves. In ancient times, armies, as they moved through an area that they'd conquered, would pour salt into the fields and onto the crops of their vanquished foe. And by doing that, it would just leave a trail of desolation behind them. And so salt has been used for centuries as a form of weed killer. Surgical spirits or rubbing alcohol is another easy weed killer that you can make at home. You would need about 2 tablespoons of surgical spirits, mix that with 1 liter of water, put into a spray bottle, and then you would just spray that onto the plants. The alcohol is just like salt. It helps remove the moisture out of the plant, and in so doing it kills the plant. To make this very easy and safe to use weed killer, you'll need half a cup of salt, 750 ml of white vinegar, and you also need half a teaspoon of dishwashing liquid. You want to do this in a big enough container so you've got room for all the ingredients. So what you'll do to make this is you will open up your So it's the salt in this mixture that is the most harmful to the soil and is what will prevent weeds from coming up again in the future. But it'll also prevent other plants from coming up. You've got to put on the lid and shake it around just to dissolve all the salt. The salt does dissolve quite quickly in vinegar, but it still needs to be shaken around. It might not completely dissolve, but that's not a big deal. Adding half a teaspoon of dishwashing soap is there so that it breaks the surface tension of the mixture, so that you'll get the vinegar and the salt sticking to the leaves of the plants that you're trying to kill. Just to be clear, these weed killers are specifically for paving. You could use them on your lawn, but some of them might have lasting effects on your soil. I'll do a separate video later showing you how to deal with weeds in your lawn. It's best done on a hot sunny day, on a dry sunny day. So you really do have to be careful when you use this. You don't want to be using this in areas where you may one day be planting. You don't want to use this in your lawn because it will actually affect your lawn as well. What's great about this is that you can spray it without worrying about your pets. As you can see, Sammy is quite keen to get in and lick the salt off this. So you can see it's already started to work. Just 12 hours later, it's actually started to kill off the weeds. So I hope that's given you a few options of what you can use to create your own lockdown weed killer, just using the ingredients that you've probably got in your cupboard or your pantry at home. Check back in a few days' time when we'll show you how to get your own seedlings going. If you're enjoying these videos and you're getting something out of them, please subscribe to the channel and we'll keep you updated as soon as a new video comes online. Happy gardening.